what a comparative city is up in the Northeast, but
I don't know. College was kind of a blur. Maybe I did end up there.
might have.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
California boy made his way to Tennessee. California State University, Northridge,
Not Fullerton.
otherwise known as CSUN.
Yes. Okay.
Completely under
It's
control.
Cal
Wake
State
up
Northridge?
call.
Yeah.
Not Fullerton.
No, not Fullerton.
Everybody,
Where is
RJ Ochoa
Northridge?
here from S-
In LA
North?
area.
What area?
LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably like the third biggest school in LA after
Like down? Is it downtown? Like I know LA is
no,
gigantic,
No.
but
It's in the I mean, I don't know how well you know LA. It's in the
Decent.
It's in the San Fernando Valley,
okay.
which
Got
is
it.
where I grew up. I literally lived across the street from that college all through high school and ended up just going to that school because I didn't really think about too much going to school, even though I had a full ride to go to another school. I don't know why I didn't take that.
Okay.
Said this about these.
Yeah. What was the other school?
It was Cal Lutheran, but I had a full ride to play soccer for them.
Okay.
And I don't know why I didn't jump all over that. I think I had the idea that I was like, I'm just going to walk onto the Cal State Northridge team. And I lasted through one practice and
Wait, what sport?
soccer.
Oh, soccer. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, that's D1, man.
Fuller.
I know it is.
That's great.
yeah.
So you walked on and
No, I thought I would just walk on and just play. But then coach pissed me off at some point and he and I got into it a little bit. And I'm like, oh, that's probably not good for a tryout.
wow. So you were beefing with the coach during the tryout?
Well, but to be fair, it wasn't the head coach.
Oh, okay. Not like he'd have any connection to it,
Fuller
right?
injuries not guaranteed for the price of the Will Fuller.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
SB Nation.
I mean, I wasn't really beefing. Saying it that way kind of makes me sound like a dick, but I probably was a dick. I was, when it came to soccer, I was kind of a little cocky and arrogant.
Well, if you were good enough to go to a D1
The
school,
tips on keeping your family safe
Gettysburg was
on
D3, I believe. and
AmmoDive.com has something.
we had
for
some
you.
legit
If you love cars,
ballers out
Yeah.
there. My brother-in-law played at
knowledge
Drexel. That's
hitting your
D1.
favorite showroom. Check out the brand
So that's
new
like, I mean, dude, you're playing.
automotivemap.com.
Even if you're
I know,
walking
I
on a
was-
D1, you're playing legit soccer coming into
I
that.
was pretty good back in the day.
What position did you play?
At that time,
Halfback, to be that arrogant, right? Or striker?
no, I was a defensive player to midfield,
Nice.
like a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
cars to get more.
I mean,
Like an LCB or no? I guess you would be more up in the midfield.
yeah,
but hanging
I mean,
back.
it really was.
You wouldn't cross the line much,
I wouldn't cross the line much,
right?
But see, I was also the kicker in high school,
Right.
so I had a really good boot. Could really blast the ball pretty decently. I had a wicked shot from long range. I couldn't score if you put me 2 feet in front of the goal. I remember once in high school I had a fast break, and I mean I literally just blew by everyone. Got the ball at midfield and just outpaced everybody. And I bring it into the penalty box and I missed the goal wide.
Mm.
But had I shot the ball from like midfield, I probably would have made it.
Okay.
Understand
That would have been the difference.
You want to
Yeah. Had I just, got the ball and then just taken a shot, had a free shot, I probably would have came close to. I had a better chance of making it there than I would have because I could really whip the ball and spin it and
Right.
get it to knuckle.
Right.
Put me 2 feet in front of the goal, and I'm like, here you go, goalie.
Oh.
Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern.
Did you
on
play like
SB
club or
Nation
anything
Radio.
there?
No, not in college. When that didn't really pan out for me. And I think part of it too was I joined a fraternity my freshman year, and that prolonged my college life.
Absolutely. I listen,
pro
man. I
football is going to
totally
happen in the
understand
fall,
that.
and that we're going to have
That was a lot of fun. No regrets.
No, never.
But then later on, after I met my wife and we moved to San Diego, we got hooked up with a soccer team down there, and I played with the club team down there for a little bit.
This
That's
moment's
after.
gratitude is
Yeah, that was after college.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
nice.
We really want to thank my wife's cousin Marie, who works so hard as a nurse saving others.
To those who leave their homes to keep us safe in ours, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
We're sending all our love, gratitude, and hope your way.
If you'd like to thank America's
Sorry,
frontline
man.
and essential workers,
A dog
visit everyoneknowsthehero.com.
Destroyed
Quicken
something.
Loans LLC and MLS
Um,
number 3030. License at 56.
so that was-
Each legal entity that identifies
That
himself.
never
Couple
sounds
years
good.
after-
My dog destroyed something.
No, He found a way to lift open the lid of the trash down
Set
here
your system's volume control
by
slightly above
pushing
the
the
normal
like
listening
this
level.
button underneath the lid that locks it.
Second level
So he
thinking
kept
is
knocking
defined
it,
as
knocking
looking
it
beyond
one
the
way, and
easy,
found a way to
obvious
ultimately that's going to
You
unlock.
got to do some
Smart dog.
Welcome
Well, I'm
to the
Honored,
second
man. I have
level,
video of
to
an
the
old one
second
opening up the
level
fridge.
on SB,
It's crazy.
Radio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
Well, we get off the air thinking the breaking news yesterday is going to be Oliver Luck suing Vince McMahon and technically the XFL, and having that in the backdrop of yet another day closer to this major event, from sport to sports betting and just entertainment and I mean entertainment, waiting for something to go wrong, of course, the first round of the NFL draft. Now, I don't know, an hour, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours after we get off the air, all hell breaks loose. And we get reports coming out about Rob Gronkowski and Rob wanting to come back, Gronk wanting to play with Brady, playing in Tampa Bay. And that might lead to a trade as he's trying to force us. And then all the speculation. My favorite speculation was the swapping of first-round picks and all the value that was attributed to Rob Gronkowski. But this is a big deal in the sense of a big name returns to the NFL. I get it. He's not as young as he used to be. And he's associated with still a gigantic name until proven otherwise in Tom Brady. And we can look at all the predictions and match them up with the offense versus the Saints offense and look at how things have changed with futures for the Bucs themselves. And if there's any real value here in Jersey, it shot up, and rightfully so, but still to a level where I don't think there's a lot of value. And then there's the opposite end of it. There's the side that either isn't being discussed or the side that continues to be ridiculed because, hey, look, another guy left. And that's up there in New England, of course, with Bill Belichick. So we have a lot to look at from this trade, how it impacts both teams, from Brady to Belichick, Tampa Bay, all the way up to New England. We're jam-packed. Hakeem Adeniji is going to join us. Tackle from Kansas, expected to go mid-rounds to the Cowboys. He'll join us this hour. Second hour, Anthony Beck, 13 years in the NFL, tight end down in Tampa, will join us on the Gronk move. Before that, Jared Lee Smith, Sports Grid, on some insane prop value for the NFL draft. We're jam-packed today.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage. During the challenging times we're all experiencing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that'll never change is our commitment to giving you the best mortgage experience. At Rocket Mortgage, our guiding philosophy of every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses.
Did you hear that
exists
beep in the
for
background by
times
any
like
chance?
right now.
No.
Okay.
Ships may
So
arise,
weird.
and we're prepared to help. If you currently work with us
These
and
headphones
need
are-
assistance with your mortgage,
I don't want to curse.
contact
but-
us 24/7
Hey, so
at rocketmortgage.com.
is HBO,
As
are
we
you
all think
familiar
about
with
ways
the
to save
HBO
money,
Max
let me
release?
remind you that mortgage.
No.
All right. I know we're not going to have much time, but we should.
Home loan experts are available to help you 24
Apparently,
hours
this is
a
a
day,
new
7 days a week. At
This is a new source of
rocketmortgage.com.
content that's coming out, and HBO is releasing not just their own stuff, but I'm reading this. HBO Max is a Titan come to life.
For the
May 27th with a $14.99 price tag and 10,000 hour content.
offering
It
supplies
will pull
and
from
solutions for
WB's
every
100-year collection, New
Plus
Line,
free
library
access to
titles from
specialists who
DC,
have the
CNN,
knowledge and
TNT,
experience to
TBS,
answer
True
your
TV,
toughest
Cartoon
questions.
Network, Adult
Call
Swim, Crunchyroll,
quickgranger.com
Rooster
or
Teeth,
just
Looney
stop by.
Tunes, and HBO.
Granger, for the ones who get it done.
We're all
But
in
it's not
uncharted
live
territory,
TV.
looking
It's
for
all-
ways to support our communities. At Dell Technologies,
Well, I guess there is video
we're
on
making
demand.
sure small businesses have the right tech solutions. Dell Technologies advisors are here for you, from helping small businesses stay connected and productive while working remotely with Windows 10
Oh,
and
man, I don't know.
Microsoft Teams, to rapidly deploying remote work solutions that limit upfront costs with Dell Financial Services. We're standing by you every step of the way. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DEL.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. After I left baseball, I just couldn't stay in shape like I used to. Turns out, once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to get into shape.
I don't know.
So I got back into the game with Nugenics. I'm feeling stronger with a lot more energy and drive. You want to get back into shape? Get Nugenics. All you have to do is send
Friends, it looks like there are a lot of old shows that are
Frank's
back.
right. Just text Maine to 321-321 to get a
So maybe that's where they were going to show it off.
Nugenics, the number
Yeah,
one
I
selling
guess
free
anything that
testosterone
would
booster at
leave
GNC.
Netflix too,
its
right?
unique man-boosting formula is
HBO
powered by
Max, okay, to
Testofen,
take
a
on
patented
Netflix
key
and
ingredient
Prime.
clinically researched to help a man feel
Price
stronger,
subscription
leaner,
plans
more
and
energetic, and more passionate.
And guys,
Movies and shows.
she'll
Okay.
like the difference too.
Nugenics samples are not available in stores. To get your complimentary bottle, text Maine to 321.
And then Looney Tunes is back.
That's M-A-I-N
Apparently you couldn't get Looney
to
Tunes anywhere else.
321.
I know they were like on Boomerang for a while, but not many people have Boomerang.
I guess it's new content. Maybe not.
Nobody wants to watch new Looney Tunes.
No. PC version of Looney Tunes? No. You can roll it with the hard stuff, man. What's that crap?
Scratching beneath the surface.
Yeah, we want to see smoking, drinking, violence, hangings,
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the
all the stuff our childhood cartoons gave us.
That's right.
Shander.
30 minutes from now, we'll go to the Progressive Guest Line and chat with Hakeem Adeniji, offensive tackle from Kansas. Expected to be a third, fourth round pick. I've seen the Dallas Cowboys as a strong favorite for Hakeem, who's, I'm sure, going to love that, being in the Dallas area. Second hour, we'll chat with Jared Smith from Sports Grid on a bunch of different props that he's identified the most value heading into the draft. And don't worry, I have the bizarre ones as well that Ron and I will go over at some point this show. And to round things out, Anthony Becht, who played in the NFL for over a decade and covers all things Bucs down in Tampa, national things as well, all over the place. And if there wasn't a Gronk trade to take up the majority of our time, we'd be able to talk about a lot of things as he works with a ton of tight ends coming into the NFL draft. And oh, by the way, talking with Cole Kmet yesterday, it would be a perfect follow-up. And then, of course, we see the Gronk trade. So let's begin there, of course. The obvious place to start is what happens with Tampa Bay. They get a new piece, a new toy, if you will, in Rob Gronkowski. But from Tom Brady's standpoint and the Bucs standpoint, does this put them over the top? How much does this really change what the Bucs are expected to do? We still know that Tampa Bay has a major or a couple of holes, I'd say, on defense to fill, that they're not on the same plane right now from a defensive standpoint as the Saints are or expected to be returning from last year's season. So what is the arrival of soon-to-be 31-year-old Rob Gronkowski do for Tom Brady and also do for the Tampa Bay Bucs? Because I think there are two complete, and honestly, I know we're talking about the same team as Brady's the quarterback of the Bucs, but I do think that these are two separate themes. One is making everything as easy and as comfortable as possible for Tom Brady. I mean, I'm in a battle right now with, I think, and I hope, about 85 to 90% of my fellow fans here in Philadelphia demanding that our general manager in Howie Roseman drafts a wide. You've got one of like 8 guys to choose from, either moving up, staying put, or moving back. Just draft a wide receiver. Make it easier for your franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz. And he's much younger than Tom Brady. You know Brady's there for 2 years. You've got a 2-year window, and to be fair, you probably have a 1-year window. When it's all said and done, unless you can do something drastically to change the defense, make it over in, 12 to 14 months' time, you've got about a year window, and it's going to be heavily favored on the offensive side. You're going to have to outscore teams. You're just going to have to outwork teams on offense, up and down the field. The tempo and the pacing is going to have to improve, with the risk, of course, that you're going to be giving up points as well. Can it be done? Sure. It wouldn't be the first time that we would see a heavily favored team on offense lead its way to the playoffs. Super Bowl, it's a different story, but we shouldn't be anywhere near talking about those two words just with the arrival of Gronk. So from a Brady standpoint, sure, it makes sense. You've given him a safety blanket. You've given him something that in Rob Gronkowski is a familiar face, a familiar body. It doesn't need to be 80 yards down the field every single time. Just throw it up to Rob Gronkowski. You've got a kid that you can throw to in Chris Godwin up and down the field, depending on how strong Tom Brady's arm feels that week, right? And I mean weak as far as like time, not weak as far as strong and weak, right? You got that. Okay. But outside of that, you already had one of the most prolific wide receivers, a guy who has speed, who has size, basically a faster version, maybe a little slimmed down, of course, but a faster version of Rob Gronkowski in Mike Evans. You already have that dynamic combination. And the two tight ends that were there in Tampa Bay, we know O.J. Howard's going to be, as already seen on the trade block. The two tight ends that are there, you already have four bodies that you could have effectively moved the football down the field. Brady needed Gronk way more than the Tampa Bay Bucs did. This is a great luxury. If you want to look at some of the best basketball teams that have been assembled, I'll use this analogy here, where you start to see guys come in, big names, maybe they're a little bit on the tail end of their career, and all of a sudden you're sixth and seventh man, right? You look at guys coming off the bench. Yeah, 32-year-old, 33-year-old, but 2-3 years ago, that guy was a top 10 player. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that guy was a top 10 player. You can look at those Heat teams. You can look way back in the 80s with the Celtics teams, the Lakers. You had guys coming off the bench that had, for some reason, age, injury, gone to the tail end of their careers, yet are helping teams by coming off the bench in a 6th, 7th, 8th man capacity. And at that point, you'd much rather have the veteran, the guy with some tread but some skill who has been there before. Rob Gronkowski's value to the Bucs is clearly not as important as it is to Tom Brady, but you now have an insane luxury. This is not Brady to Gronk 100 times this year. Anybody betting or expecting that is going to be up for a terrible awakening when the season's over. This helps Mike Evans. It helps Chris Godwin, who can stretch the field. You want to add a third wide receiver in there. You have the luxury of shifting and moving things around, which Bruce Arians is going to take full control of. But make no mistake, this is not about elevating Tom Brady to an MVP quarterback. It's making it easier from the bottom end. The Bucs, on the other hand, get this great luxury. The Bucs get to look and say, all right, now we have a gigantic body, a catch and run type body that we can essentially continue to move the football and pound defenses on the middle of the field. We know we can stretch it on the outside with Chris Godwin. We know we have a very unique body in Mike Evans where we can ask him to do basically anything and everything on the field. There isn't anything we can ask Mike Evans to do that can't be done by any other wide receiver in the NFL. Doesn't mean he's the best. It just means he's that unique and that special of a talent. Now you add, well, Tom Brady isn't expected to turn the football over at the clip in which we saw Jameis Winston, who at the end of the day wasn't necessarily the problem, but that helped. That fueled in and that factored it. The Bucs should be better than they were before Gronk got there. Are they 2, 3, 4 games better? Are they winning the division? No. They're a game better right now, a game and a half better right now with the arrival of Rob Gronkowski because he effectively strengthens the bench. And yeah, he'll be out there starting, but I use that bench analogy as I laid out with the NBA. Now, there's one other area in this whole topic that, and I get social media because it's basically the virtual playground. Ha ha, look at you. And that's always going to dominate over, well, wait a second, guys. I don't necessarily know we should be making fun of this person. Shut up, shut up. That's Twitter in a nutshell. So people are just coming in and destroying Bill Belichick, and it's just piling on because they've lost Tom Brady. They were never going to have Rob Gronkowski. That was never going to be a reality. Gronk would rather retire. It's right there in front of you. This is not revisionist. This just happened. This is an immediate reaction. This is not waiting 2 years to go back and trying to fill in the blanks with my own memory and narrative of what happened. This is Rob Gronkowski would rather retire than play for Bill Belichick. So what's Belichick to do? Just say, okay, that's it? Or maximize. And you know what? Maximize might have been a 6th round pick. And I don't know if there was anywhere else, and in hindsight, we do know there wasn't anywhere else, that he could have leveraged more, because Gronk had a very specific demand. He said, I want to return. I don't want to play in Tampa. I don't want to play for Tom Brady. At that point, Bill Belichick, the only job that he has when he hears this from Rob Gronkowski, get a pick back. Just get something back. He got a 4th round pick. So as much as people continue to dance on the grave of the New England Patriots, there's a combination of it. Yes, Tom Brady is gone, but the combo that we have to factor in at the very least is that team is a loss away from a 2 seed last year. The defense did not drop significantly by any key players by any means, and the division has been whipped over and over again into submission to that. Even from a mental standpoint, it's going to be hard to overcome Bill Belichick. Like, Bill Belichick could have a 7-9 football team going up against a 10-6 Jets team, and I'd still weigh everything on Belichick. And that could be Bills or Dolphins as well, even if they do go up and get a healthy Tua. I can't just laugh and have all of the jokes and expense at Belichick, because it was either not have Gronk play and sit out, or Gronk comes back and I get a 4th round pick. It's not like he had an opportunity to convince Rob Gronkowski to come back and catch passes from Jarrett Stidham or anybody else. It's not like Rob Gronkowski was going to turn around and say, you know what, let's work this thing out. I've had so much time off. I've had time to reflect on my own behavior, my own decisions. No. He turned around and said, dude, I ain't playing for you, and I'm not playing for anybody else. You work something out. You do it with the Bucks. You do it with Tampa Bay. At Shandor Show is how you get me on Twitter. Twitch.tv/Shandor Show. We're live on the stream as well. Ron Culver on Twitter, at Ron, 2 N's, Culver. Hakeem Adeniji is going to join us, 11:40 Eastern. Tackle out of Kansas. We'll get his thoughts on what's happening, this crazy draft process. Also, mentioned less than an hour from now, we'll go out to some real props, some hardcore props that you can go out and bet on and make some money on. But I have the ridiculous as well, and it wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about something absurd. We'll do that next here on The Second Level.
Wake up call. You know what? I think Tiger King is probably going to be the thing.
How
did you get through the great quarantine?
Need to watch
Let
that
me tell you the story of a guy and his tigers and another guy and his sex cult and a woman that fed her.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just going to be.
Do you think Oklahoma, in some way, some fashion, or maybe the country as a whole, we should have a
I don't know.
Joe
I have not
statue?
gone around to it.
A place,
That's a great idea.
a beacon of hope, a beacon of light that we can all travel to once the quarantine is over. So
Take
we
our
can
families.
do mass gatherings. So generations from now, we can sit there and say, guys, this man right here is what got us through 2020.
I think it's a great idea. That's a good idea. Joe Exotic statue. The great hero of the 2020 quarantine.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call. What'd you make of the president getting asked about Joe Exotic?
Now, here's the only
Looking
thing.
into a
Here's the only
pardon
thing I
for
don't
Joe
like.
Exotic?
I don't like the fact that Trump was lying to us
About?
not having watched Tiger King.
Yeah, right. Come on.
Come on. You know, he's going through the whole thing. He's like, is that Joe Exotic? I'm like, yeah, you know.
Shut
up.
up. Come on.
Come on,
You
Mr.
know
President.
Joe
You
Exotic.
know who Joe Exotic is.
Because everybody does.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pushing the odds with Matt Peralt.
Dan Black of Road Drivers doing this here. I'm putting the odds. The most angry I've ever been at you was when you shot me with a paintball gun. Do you remember why you shot me with the paintball gun?
Yeah, I don't know. There might have been a girl involved or something, to be honest with you. That's usually how these things work. But I do remember it because it was radio promotion. We were at this paintball place, and I think we were just getting on each other's nerves like 20-year-old dudes do. And you put your hands up, and I took a free shot at you. And you did not appreciate appreciate it one bit. So I don't know if I ever apologized for that, but if I didn't, sorry, Matt.
I remember my rib cage being like so sore for like 3 days afterward. You hit me like 4 times. It wasn't like one shot. It was like multiple pulling pulls of the trigger too that you got me
Oh,
on,
geez,
so.
it's like you completely have not forgotten about it.
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
If business, pleasure, or sports fandom takes you to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, check out CultureMap.com to get the scoop on the local favorites. From the best restaurants, bars, pubs, and clubs to the biggest sights and sounds each city has to offer, Culture Map has it all. Just head over to CultureMap.com. The expert team personally reviews and visits each spot to make sure you get the best experience. And if you're coming back, sign up for free Culture Map updates at CultureMap.com.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
All of the regular props that are out, right down to individual names, you've seen, you've heard, you've gone over, I'm sure, extensively. But there are a couple of other ones that have just popped up on the global market that are far more interesting to me, and therefore, by default, are far more interesting to Ron. At least for now, for the purposes of the next 9 minutes. I'm curious, because you were part of the whole faction before we get into these props, and I'll just give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. Total dogs shown during the first round. I'll give you the over-under. I've got things.
I don't know if I was part of a faction.
Well, I think you were. I think from what my memory, and
You
again,
can't place me anywhere.
it's tough. It is very
I
difficult.
have an alibi.
Well, yes, your alibi was on this program ripping that poor young woman from USC who had no idea who Jackie Robinson is, or was, technically. Legacy is person on the planet was. Now, I wonder if anybody's been paying attention, because that whole college week and tournament thing is over. So for the last 3 nights, you're back to normal. And those questions have got progressively more difficult. I don't know if people have noticed that, but anybody riding out the last 2 weeks on Jeopardy, including those ripping that young woman from USC, like Ron, can clearly tell the difference now, right? Everybody's on their high horse because they're clearing thousands of dollars on their couch in college Jeopardy. And now all of a sudden it's back to the real deal. See? You start ripping people and the bar raises a little bit. I've seen people a lot, I would say more quiet on social media as a result of trying to identify. And there were some bad answers, don't get me wrong, but nobody cares when, your bad answer is Emily Dickinson and the person is really somebody in, ancient Greece. Dogs versus cats. How many cats do you think will be shown during the first round? If I gave you the over, well, actually, I'll tell you what, Ron, before I even give you the over under, why don't you give me what you think will be the total over?
You got to clarify real quick. We're talking live animals.
Yes, we're talking live animals.
Not somebody from the University of Kentucky.
Right. I'm talking about somebody who is there in their draft party and all of a sudden a cat walks by.
Yeah, not someone being drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No.
You're not talking about those type of cats.
The Jaguars? No.
Let's see. What'd you say? Jaguars?
Yeah, the Jaguars, right.
Jaguars.
Is that tomato? Is that the new tomato, by the way?
I don't think it's new. I think it's very old tomato.
Well, it's been around, I think, more recent, right, than the tomato battle.
Probably.
People have been growing tomatoes since the inception of humanity.
Well, Jaguars have been all over the place too, man.
Okay, I guess you're right.
It's not like they just popped up one day. I'm like, you know what? Well, we're going to call ourselves Jaguars now.
Well, they only got popular when they joined the NFL, right?
No, come on, man. And there was a car.
I guess you're right. Never heard that car pronounced Jaguar. It's only when it turned into an NFL team.
No, it's always been pronounced Jaguar.
I've just been doing it wrong, is what you're telling me.
Well, because you have a funny accent.
Yeah, but people, look, it's not just me. I've heard people
around you
say Jaguar too.
Say the word wrong.
No,
Okay.
but I'm telling you, there are people up here. And first off, I don't sound. We can get somebody who sounds like thick Philadelphia. They say Jaguar too.
Jaguar, right? You say Jaguar?
Jaguar, right?
Jaguar.
Jaguar. All right. So, how many cats do you think will be shown there? NFL's not a cat league.
In the first round.
Yeah, only first round. This is only Thursday night.
You know what? Maybe. Do I have to put a half on it to make it easy?
Well, the over under is a half number,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
can do whatever you want. We
No,
can
I'll
push.
throw a half on it. I'll say 3.5 because I think some of these guys will be at their parents' house.
That's
And-
fair.
And mom has her favorite cat.
The actual number is a half.
Is a half?
It's a half cat. That's
Damn.
how little they think you'll see a cat.
Yeah, half a cat. I might take the over because I think you would see at least one and you'd win.
You would think, but well, yeah, you would win, but you would. I just don't think this is now. On the contrary, dogs are 3.5, and don't you think that's a lock to go over?
Yeah.
Anybody, it doesn't matter if you're at your own house. And granted, we're talking about college age kids, so they're probably going to be a huge moment like this, especially since everybody's quarantined at their parents' house. So, or wherever they're living with their family, right? So that looking at that, who doesn't have a dog versus a cat in an NFL household, right?
Yeah.
You raising it up. We'll ask Hakeem. Hakeem Adeniji is going to join us in 8 minutes.
If he has a dog or a cat.
My guess is if he has an animal in the house, it's a dog. He's an offensive tackle. You think the guy grew up around cats?
He either has a dog or he has a goldfish.
Look, if he has cats,
One
that's
or the
fine
other.
because he can kick our ass combined. So that's fine. I'm not ripping. I'm just saying.
Not yet.
Not yet. Now, this is an interesting one. I'll combine the two here. Will any draftee be shown drinking beer? Will any draftee pop champagne? The overwhelming odds favor, will any draftee be shown drinking beer and popping? No to no. Minus 400 to drinking beer, minus 700 to pop champagne. So drinking a beer on television, I think, is not going to happen.
Yeah, that could be a bad look.
Absolutely.
Champagne?
Well, here's the thing. The operative word here, Ron, is pop, not drink.
Okay.
Pop.
Well, I don't see him popping beer.
No, but I see him
Or
like, yeah,
cracking open a
exactly.
beer?
Nobody's cracking. It's not going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin cracking beers
Yeah.
and slamming them together and chugging them. But
Although, let's all reflect on Joe Burrow's little celebration.
he did have a hell of a celebration, smoking
didn't
the
he have
cigar.
Didn't he have a cigar in one hand and a bottle in the other?
Correct. Now that's after winning a national championship, and I think he even got in trouble, right, for
He
smoking
got-
a cigar indoors.
He got in trouble.
He got
But
Brady.
Now we're talking. He's going to be at his house, presumably, probably or at his parents' house, and he's going to go number 1 overall.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's champagne popping worthy.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you don't need to drink it in order to be caught on TV to pop
What
it.
if you're okay? What
All
if
you
you're
need to
Tua?
do is pop that bottle, brother,
Yeah. What if you're Tua and you slide in the draft?
and
That's
then
that's a drinking moment, right?
yeah, I think that.
'Cause at one point you were like 5, 6, easy.
Well, how far down do you drop?
What if he's Aaron Rodgers?
What do you drop to 26?
Yeah. Or
Or Brady Quinn. Man,
God.
I don't know. At that point, he might even forget a cigar. He might light up something else to just relax. You know, at that point, we might have to get a prop on if Tua falls to the 20s. What's going to be his mode of celebration? Because I don't know if you
Well, he's
pop
gotta
a
be in
bottle
Hawaii
at that
now,
point.
right?
What's that?
He's got to be in Hawaii hanging out
Yeah, I would think so.
with his family.
Everybody's
Just-
quarantined at home.
yeah. There's no school, so obviously he's not. Yeah, he's got to be in Hawaii. Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you pop a bottle of champagne if you go from 5 or really 3
Oh,
to
no,
26?
no. I mean, is there another category for other, like, scotch?
No, it's two different props. These are two different props.
Tequila, I think that would be the go-to, right? If you start to slide, you're just like,
Yeah.
just give me
Yep.
the Cuervo.
If you're
Give me
not
the
going to smoke
Patron.
something, you'll drink tequila. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah, you don't go vodka, or you'd have to go tequila.
Got to go tequila.
Two other ones we'll get to. And again, Hakeem Adeniji is going to join us. Tackle from Kansas coming up next. Will the number 1 overall pick cry? Yes, plus 400. No, minus 700. Nobody's going to shed a tear in 32 picks, Ron. Not one young man.
Oh, no. Well, okay. I thought you said number 1.
Oh, well, the number one, pardon me. So Joe Burrow will not cry. No, we know that.
I don't think Joe Burrow will cry.
You're right. Thank you for actually listening to what I'm saying, because clearly I'm not.
That's all right. It was one of those rare moments where I was listening to the show.
And I yes, exactly. And clearly I'm not.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think if Joe Burrow is in fact selected number one overall, I don't think he cries.
I don't think Chase Young cries either. If he goes
I don't think
one.
Chase Young, but if it was Tua.
Okay.
Right, because we just talked about him sliding. So let's talk about him being, surprise.
Tua might cry if he goes one. Sure.
He might go one because there's so much back and forth on him right now.
I agree. Now, the likelihood of that is probably the likelihood of Joe Burrow crying, which is nil, minus 700. Real quick, will the number one overall pick hug his mom, dad, girlfriend, friend, or sibling?
Like which one first?
Yes.
Mom.
It's the overall favorite, but listen, don't rule out sibling. Brother, girl, sister, everybody's quarantined. Girlfriend won't be there. Buddy won't be there. Brother, sister might get the first hug if they're sitting on the right.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage.
It's always mom.
It's always mom.
Our commitment to providing you with the best mortgage experience remains. We understand that hardships may arise, and we're prepared to help. Mortgage rates remain near historic lows. If you think that now is the right time to refinance your mortgage, our home loan experts are available
Hakeem
to help
is
24
calling
hours a
us,
day,
correct?
7 days a week.
I believe so.
Information and condition.
Was there a plug that went with us?
I don't know.
Attention. If you were a loved
I don't remember seeing it.
weight loss, call the Belvique Advocates.
Yeah, he's calling in at 10:40.
Cool.
Including pancreatic
I just stare at the phone. Hopefully he calls in on time.
compensation.
Hey,
Call for
yeah.
a free review of your
That'd be
case at 1-888-743-7254. In February 2020, the FDA requested that the manufacturer of Belvique withdraw the drug from the market due to cancer findings. Call so that we can fight for a compensation to cover your medical bills and more. If you've been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, colorectal, or lung cancer after using the weight loss drug Belvique or Belvique XR, call the Belvique Advocates now for a free consultation. You may be owed a significant compensation.
He
Call
retweeted the tweet, so I feel like he
1-888-743-7254. 1-888-743-7254. That's 1-888-743-7254. Consult your physician prior to discontinuing use of any medication. Results may vary.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like that much needed 125-inch flat screen TV.
It's hurting my eyes a lot.
Or your 100 square foot bedroom.
My neck isn't so much stiff as it's completely stuck.
With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Uh-oh, I'm seeing color splotches. Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home and you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-946-1013. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-946-1013. 800-946-1013.
Hakeem is on.
Sweet.
13.
It's a good sign when a draft pick calls in early.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores. Here's Eitan Shander.
Live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Shander Show. You could follow along on the stream and see up there the Twitter page of our next guest. Very excited to have a conversation with this young man, expecting a bright future in the NFL on the offensive line. That would be former KU tackle Hakeem Adeniji. You can follow Hakeem on Twitter at Keem78, the great. Eitan Shander on the second level. First off, Hakeem, thank you for the time today. Congrats on all of your success. How are you doing? How are you? How's your family doing through all of this nonsense, this mess that we're going through?
No, thanks for having me. We're handling it. It's good. Get some extra time with my mom and my girlfriend here. We're locked down in the house, and so it's good. A lot of good talk. So I think something good has come out of it.
I bet, and it's family, so you take it and leave it how it's always been for however long we are on this planet. But you're right, we do get a chance to, I guess, be reminded a lot being around our loved ones, especially going into a huge weekend for you where you're headed to the NFL.
Man, it's always what I always dreamed of, and the fact that it's here tomorrow, it's crazy. And night by night, over the past week or month, you just kind of sit down, like it's getting closer, which you've always worked for. For it to finally be here and for me to know I'm going to get that call within the next few days, I can't even put it into words. I'm excited.
Well, you're in Dallas, right? From Dallas, that area?
Yeah.
So I imagine, I'm guessing, and look, I say this in Philly as an Eagles fan, but I respect the grind and I respect your hustle, sir. So I imagine going to Dallas would be ideal, right?
It was always that's always been my team growing up. So, I mean, it would definitely be cool, but I honestly don't really have a preference, I would guess.
No, and I understand that, right? Because you don't want somebody on some fan base to pull some clip of you saying, well, I want to go to Dallas, and then the Eagles or Giants draft you. And it's like, Hakeem, what did you say? No. I get that. But at the same time, just your team, and it's for everybody, because here in Philly or anywhere around the country, there are plenty of times in which somebody comes from a different area, growing up following a different team. But you're right. It's just hearing your name. Now, it's going to be a little different this time because it's going to be all virtual, but have you gone through it already? Like, have you gone through the feeling and the emotion that you expect to have once you actually hear your name called?
Oh, yeah, always. From our perspective, almost every year during the draft, you think about it. And then, there's times, you'll have a good game or it's getting closer. You just, it's something that you always, throughout my entire life, at least 100 times more that I've envisioned. And it's right here. So, I mean, there's no way to replicate that when it actually happens, but it's coming. So I'll find out soon.
It is kind of funny how we work though, right? As humans, because you go through repetition, you go through practice throughout the week, and it's about memory and it's about knowing your responsibilities and kind of going through that physically in practice. But you're right. There's nothing that you could do to prepare. You could talk to people. I'm sure you've talked to players that have gone through it already that are in the NFL, and they may tell you, hey, Hakeem, this is what it's going to be like. It's going to be crazy. The world's going to change. But you don't know it until you go through it.
For real.
Awesome time for you, man. So I'm curious, when you look at the NFL itself, have you had anybody specific an opportunity to talk with, to maybe pick on it as a mentor and pick their brain heading into the league, especially as a tackle?
Most definitely. From the offensive line standpoint, working with Duke Manuel, the guy I trained with more recently, that there's been a lot of elite guys that he trains that I've been able to, pick their brain, how it's going to be coming to the league as an offensive lineman. But, the guy who I call my big brother, Adrian Phillips, he just signed with the Patriots, but I was around him a lot growing up, and he's been in there for about 5-6 years. And, he's always, come back and just kind of told me, and we've had talks about how it's going to be and what it takes to get to this level. And so he's definitely been a huge part of it as well.
Yeah, a lot of what we don't get is the life conversations, right? Because we imagine that somebody who is playing the league, that has the chance and the opportunity to sit and chat with you, is going to talk about everything, right? It's going to talk about, hey, the physical responsibilities and what you're going to have to do each and every week, how much more difficult it will be, right, from college to the NFL. But what type of life advice are you seeing as far as how much your world is going to change from Kansas to wherever you land?
It's gonna be more football. There's no school. Football is your life. It's your job. But I mean, to me, that's awesome. Like obviously, there's gonna be moments where it's gonna be hard and gonna be hurt. But I mean, this is to be able to do what I love to do and make a lot of money doing it, and that's like my only responsibility. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Hakeem Adeniji joining us at Keem78, the great on Twitter, former KU tackle, now heading to the NFL. Do you have any idea? Have you been told maybe where to expect to hear your name?
I've heard a lot of day two, and but I mean, regardless of where I end up falling or going, whether I go higher than I expect or lower than I expect, as long as I get that opportunity, that's the biggest thing for me.
How's the interview process going on Zoom and FaceTime? And I imagine that it's easier for you than probably the guys on the other end.
Yeah, it's a little different. That's what all the teams say. They're like, well, this is our first time doing this sort of thing. Obviously, it's our first time, but it's our only time. So, they've done it, in person for years and years. So it's definitely different for them. It's been kind of cool. You just kind of watch, you usually like watch film, just, talk about things, talk about the player you are, who you are, what you bring to the table, stuff like that.
Any crazy, bizarre questions thrown at you? Like, come on, man, what is this?
I haven't through the whole process. I never got a crazy question.
I wonder if that's because of the position you play. I think that maybe it's the respect that people have, you know what I mean? Like, it's business. You're protecting the quarterback. And I wonder if it's all about, the focus and all. Maybe they don't have time to ask you if you were a tree, what kind of tree you were. I would look at that as a sign of respect, Hakeem.
Who knows?
What have you been doing, man, when just downtime? I know it's cool to spend time with the family, but we all need a couple of minutes alone, right? So what do you do as far as downtime, even without a pandemic going on?
Without a pandemic, I love to cook. That's like my biggest hobby. Just calms me down. You can be creative, and at the end of it, you get food to eat. So that's the best part.
It's a great reward.
And then, I'll always kind of just research new things that aren't in my, regular day-to-day life that I may not know about. There's just so much out there. And I like learning new things. So I say those are like two big things that I do.
All right. So the girlfriend's coming over. What's the go-to meal in order to make sure that no issues at all in the night?
Oh, I'm making steak, and it's easy. It's one of my favorite things to cook, and my girlfriend loves steak. So
I'm sure that's not a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do you cook it? This is the big question, right? And I know people cook it a little different depending on where we are in the country, but how do you cook your steak?
I'm medium rare, 100%.
My man.
That's how we got to do it. Unfortunately, my girlfriend likes more medium well-doneness.
But not well done itself, right?
Not well done, but you know what I'm saying? More like cooked, unfortunately.
Do you take it as an insult if somebody asks you to cook their steak well done, Hakeem?
Oh yeah. I'll just say we're having burgers.
There you go. All right, now during the pandemic, what's the go-to? Are you a gamer? Are you watching TV? How are you? I know film and consuming as much as you can, preparing for the NFL is taking up A, B, and C of your day. But what happens when you hit D in the pandemic?
I've never been much of a big, binge watcher, but me and my girl, we just finished watching Ozark. That was a really good show.
There you go.
So we've been watching some shows. Man, outside of football, I've been playing Monopoly a lot recently.
Physically on the actual board or something on TV?
On the app.
On the app.
Nobody actually. There's not many people I feel like that like that actually.
I didn't know. Maybe you were a throwback here and you broke out the actual Monopoly game.
Oh man, I wish nobody here would play with me. I just win too much.
Is that it? You always land on Park Place or Boardwalk, huh? Is that how it works?
Oh no, I got the real strategy.
Oh well, hold on a second. What's the real strategy?
I got the real.
Can you break some news here?
It's deep. If you come sit down with me, have a glass of wine, I can give you like 10, 15 minutes. I can make you a pretty good, not elite. That takes time. I can make you a pretty good Monopoly player.
All right, listen, man. Here's the deal. If you get drafted in the North, I'm in Philly, so a drive to Boston or D.C. ain't far, especially New York or Philly itself. So I'm going to take you up on that.
Okay.
Hakeem, I appreciate you. Absolutely. Bring the board with me. I appreciate your time, man. All the best. Can't wait to hear your name.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me. It was a pleasure.
Awesome, man. Hakeem Adeniji joining us on the Progressive guest line at Keem78, the great. That is a very important question to ask a significant other who you feel could be the one or could be a one, meaning you never know. You could be young and think, well, I'm good here to marry this person and hang for a little bit, but the death to us part is a long way. Whatever it may be. If you're looking for a summer fling to a soulmate, the most or one of the most important questions, food related, is how do you like your steak? And I do feel like, and I agree with Hakeem, and I was happy to hear his response. It isn't. If you're making steak, grilling steak, and somebody asks you to grill it well done, it is an insult. You should be asked to leave the party. That's Shandor Show. Now, Ron, I bet you're a well done guy, right? If I were to set odds for how Ron Culver likes his steak, I'm going to say minus 500. Medium well.
No.
Rare?
No.
Okay.
I like a medium.
Perfect. Okay. So I stand corrected. See? I miss it. It's just like fake news. I can't get it right. At Shandor Show is how you get me. I know it's already coming. The well-done steak takes are coming. You don't know. You've never had it. Twitch.tv/Shandor Show is how you can follow along on the stream. Great stuff from Hakeem Adeniji. We'll wrap the hour next year on the second level.
SB Nation tonight with John Michaels.
Did you see the latest on Kevin Durant where he said he played with a bunch of athletes, but not a bunch of guys that could shoot or play? Dude, Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on your team. I get it. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a very skilled big man. Thabo Sefolosha was a great defensive guy, and that's it. Don't do this 6, 7, 8 years later where you're calling guys out. You sound like a candy ass when you do that. I thought it was soft as hell when he left, but to not be hypocritical, it is free agency. You are free to go play wherever the hell you want when you're a free agent. But why years later are you trashing guys that you used to play with, and whenever you're healthy again, you're now going to play against? I'm going to tell you, if I'm Russell Westbrook and I'm James Harden and I go against Kevin Durant, I'm putting the Slim Reaper on his rear end, telling him, shut the hell up. You were part of the reason we couldn't get the job done.
SB Nation tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Bum Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com.
Wake up call.
Ripping the Browns is kind of what old hat.
Yeah, that's old hat. Everybody does it.
Can't do it anymore.
Buccaneers,
Not even fun.
You're now on our radar for being inept.
Going back to the glory days.
Glory days of 20 years ago.
But I'm with you with the whole glory days scenario too.
Usually glory days means I got to sit down with somebody and have them reminisce about a time before mine.
And Ken Burns is narrating.
Or that over-the-top announcer that's like, and the skipper brings out Lou Gehrig out to the field, and look at him go as he hits a home run, and the Yankees win it by a score of 3-2, beating those old Boston Red Stockings once again. That's what I mean by glory days. Or look at Billy Cannon run, the LSU superstar. Look at him smile as he scores another touchdown against Ole Miss. And Tiger fans cannot stand it any longer as they stand up and cheer for good old Billy Cannon. Like, that's what I mean by glory days. If Joe Buck's calling your game and that's what you consider glory days, it's not glory days.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings.
Wake up call.
I mentioned the draft going to be a virtual event. We kind of know that. Everybody's going to be in home locations and everybody on computers and whatnot. But how many of us will be watching this just to see if it falls apart? This is the aspect of the draft. We're going to see who's getting picked and what teams did what, who moved up in the draft to get who, and all of that we normally do. But how many of us are watching for the Joe Burrow feed to just collapse at the right time?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Dealing with the root of the issues. It's The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Busy second hour. We'll chat with Jared Smith, Sports Grid. Same spot as Scott Farrell here on our network. Jared's got some real props, not just the silly stuff that we throw out, which you could actually bet on, mind you. Don't think that if I'm throwing out, the number one overall pick cry, that you can't physically bet on that. You can. And Anthony Beck will join us 12:40 Eastern down in Tampa Bay, former NFL tight end, and talk a little more about the Gronk trade, as we will in the second hour with Jared as well. Will ESPN mention that Jake Fromm played in the Little League World Series? Yes is minus 140. No, even odds, 1-1 odds.
I got one better for you. Will ESPN mention Jake from State Farm?
Mentioning Jake Fromm as Jake from State Farm?
Yeah, Jake from State Farm.
Will somebody say that?
Will somebody say that
okay,
at
well,
some point?
Let's look at this. We need to handicap who's on the actual panel here. I'm sure there's some jackass on the panel that will be guilty of saying that.
If it's ESPN, you got Mel Kiper, Todd McShay. He'll probably poke his head in because this is their day to shine.
Right. So Mel
see.
Kiper won't. He takes himself way too seriously.
Yeah.
McShay he won't say
Chris
that.
Berman, is he officially retired? I don't understand Chris Berman's role anymore.
He's like, okay, so the Sixers did this when they were tanking.
Would do it, right?
Yes.
He would say it.
He would say it. So Berman is akin to what the Sixers did when they were tanking, which is like every third or fourth game, they brought back Allen Iverson. And they just had Allen Iverson stand up and wave and do stuff. And it was like that would reward the 6,000 people that were at the game. Berman is like you just pull him out every now and again. It's the same old. What is he doing that's new? Who is yearning for more Berman? I need more Berman.
Well, I think everyone needs a little more Berman.
I think they need more cowbell before they need more Berman, don't you?
We need just as much cowbell as we do Berman.
Oh, jeez. Well,
think about it. You get the cowbell, the pop, 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 or the back, 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 back.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, yes, but cowbell is walking. So walking will always trump Berman.
So we need either walking or back.
I think Berman.
Back.
Yes, Berman would say Jake from
State Farm.
Jake from State Farm. Couldn't you hear him say that?
Oh, of course. So if he's not on the cast,
then he's out.
That's not going to get said at all.
It won't, but the odds for him playing in the Little League World Series basically tell you that somebody's going to mention it. Did you know Jake Fromm played in the Little League World? I could see McShay or the other guy, Kiper, saying that.
You can't teach that.
No.
He was an athlete through and through.
I tell you what, man, he played in the Little League World Series, man. I could see all that breaking down here. Has anybody asked John Gruden? Isn't he doing the virtual stuff now?
Is he? I have no idea.
Yeah, he jumped into a class. You see this? He zoomed in on a class at.
No, I did see that in Tennessee.
Yeah, and it was all hell broke loose. They didn't know what the hell was going on.
Drink? Visit CultureMap.com for all of the hottest spots in Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. From the most popular bars to those favorite dine-in gems, Culture Map has it all. Then before you leave town, why not visit some of the best places to shop or see some of the sights? Culture Map has extensive coverage on all the things to do in the city you're in. So check out CultureMap.com. That's CultureMap.com.
This is Straight Heat.
Kevin Durant went on the All the Smoke podcast and decided
to tell I have a number
why he left Oklahoma
for
City.
Jared. He wanted us
in
to
OKC.
use.
I played.
It's his Google Voice number. I'm going to text
I
it to
didn't
you.
play.
Okay.
not like
God,
shooters,
man.
ball handlers. I was like, I need change. And this was before the season even started. I was tired of having to be the only guy that can make threes, make jump shots, and consistently make them. This isn't.
Yeah. Hey,
as
thanks
much
again
as
for
he meant
chopping
this
up the
as a
interviews, too.
put-down
That's awesome.
To Russ and a
Oh, no problem.
on that team, this is a put down on himself. He wasn't good enough to be the man, and he just told you so.
Straight Heat with Patrick Creighton. Weekdays from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern on SB Nation Radio. SB Nation Radio.
Hey
All right, I'll
everybody,
be right
RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America.
Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover model of a year ago. Well, one of the covers, I'm sure didn't hurt the decision-making process for him. But so many athletes, right? The competition that has so defined them. And when you are so great, I mean, there's a legit case Gronkowski is the greatest tight end of all time. The greatest career of any tight end of all time depends on where you're going to prioritize criteria. Right? Tony Gonzalez, head and shoulders the most prolific. But if we leave money out of it, and Gonzalez has been retired several years now, so Gronk making pretty significant money. He'll make $10 million for his comeback season with the Buccaneers. Whose career would you rather have had? Right? We'll leave aside, I mean, if Gronk wins another championship with the Buccaneers, that would be what, his fourth? But whose career would you rather have had? Rob Gronkowski's. And if you go by touchdowns, he is among the all-time tight end leaders. Antonio Gates ahead of him. Tony Gonzalez ahead of him. But I need to double check on Tony Gonzalez. But Tony Gonzalez, I mean, he's second all-time in receptions. Second all-time in receptions over an awesome 15-year career. I don't know how many Pro Bowls he wound up in, but I'm going to go with at least a dozen. I have the wherewithal to look that up. Oh, that's right. Larry Fitzgerald went past Gonzalez last season. So he's now only third all-time in receptions, more than 100 ahead of the next closest tight end. All due respect to Jason Witten, not close.
I'm here.
To Tony Gonzalez as an absolute on-field
What's this?
terror that scared defenses. Jason Witten,
Hello.
great security blanket for multiple.
What up?
What's this?
For Derek.
I mean, what's this?
Or Marcus Mariota. Right, would
I'm
go to the
hearing
Raiders
people
to
talk.
one more year out of his career. So he went to the Monday Night Football booth, pretty much failed.
Not the
paid very well for
spots.
Or between mocking
How about now?
his body for a year and
Great player.
Now I do.
Now you back?
Yeah.
He's rolling through the controversy
Yeah, that
for
was
some teams.
Yes, we need to know who you think for certain teams. For Detroit, easy.
For some, it would be
for,
difficult.
Like, say the Cowboys, that's going to be tough.
That was
Of
weird.
course.
For the Bears,
Is that the
that's
local
gonna be
channel?
tough.
That's going to be really tough.
But I mean, for some teams, I mean, you know, like that's
I have no idea. There's no reason for them to use this one.
in your franchise history.
What, Eric Hipple doesn't get on the radar?
Yeah, we all know who the best player in Detroit Lions history is.
Right. New York Giants.
Everyone
Is it Lawrence
say
Taylor? I would say it's Lawrence
I
Taylor.
would say it's Lawrence Taylor.
If you're Tampa Bay, do you say Tom Brady?
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Bum Phillips, Earl Campbell, Dan Pastorini, the Love You Blue era Houston Oilers. Experience 1970s football with red, white, and Columbia blue. The new audiobook at Houston79.com. A game-by-game recap of the 1979 Houston Oilers season, featuring player interviews and new insights. Step into the huddle for legendary games against the Steelers and Cowboys, and relive one of the most controversial plays ever, the Mike Renfro play. Red, white, and Columbia blue. Download now at Houston79.com.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for our spring break deals on lawn and garden batteries, wiper blades, brake kits, and more.
Ready for an oil change? Get 5 quarts of Valvoline conventional or Max Life motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for $28.99.
I got a debate with my boy Redskins at 2. Who's a bigger threat to the Eagles? He says Tua. I say Chase.
Every day.
Well, the Skins aren't going to draft 2. Alfie? Are going to draft Tua. I can't see anybody not drafting
Set your
Chase Young
system's
at
volume
2.
control for slightly above the normal listening level.
Let's go. Second level thinking is
Right.
defined as looking beyond the easy, obvious conclusions.
You got to do some smart thinking.
Welcome to the second level. On SB Nation Radio,
And on SBNationRadio.com.
where we go beyond the box score. Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is with you every step of the way. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's your host, Eitan Shander.
Well, we have breaking news that came out, I guess, an hour or so ago. And this is from Fox 19, which I believe is in Cincinnati. Jeremy Roush with the report from a reliable source, because maybe if this came from an unreliable source, you wouldn't necessarily believe it. But I read the tweet verbatim. From a reliable source, the Bengals. Now, did I pronounce that correctly, Ron Culver? The Bengals. It's not the Bengals or anything else like.
No, you got that cat name right.
The Bengals have informed Joe Burrow that he will be their number 1 overall pick on Thursday. There it is.
So is he going to shed tears?
No, because he knows what's coming.
So he's
Tua
shedding
sheds
tears.
tears.
He could shed tears now.
Maybe
But it
now
doesn't-
is when,
but it
yes.
doesn't count because we're not seeing it.
Absolutely right. It does not count, and the bet does not pay off.
It's like
because
a tree falling in the forest.
Exactly right. Now, Jared Smith's going to join us in 5 minutes, and we'll talk about the props and what you can bet on, including the 100,000 to 1, which I'm sure is now off the board. But I saw this hashtag yesterday on Twitter and wanted to alter it to our own. I know we have a lot with Gronk. We'll get to this. It's the big story, also the draft. Just take a second, indulge me here, and we can begin with Ron at Ron 2Ns Culver on Twitter, at Shander Show, twitch.tv/Shander Show, so you can follow the stream here. The hashtag was 5 perfect movies. And I thought, well, let me switch this to TV show. And the more and more I thought about it, it doesn't mean it's the best of all time, even though I think it is. It means that there's nothing at all you would change. And I think there's only one perfect television show, and that's The Wire. So I know it's going to be met with resistance. I know it's going to be met with acceptance. Just think about this, all right? Because we've got fake news with Ron coming up at 12:25. Jared Smith's going to join us before that. Anthony Becht as well. It's a jam-packed show. At some point, we'll get Ron's thoughts on his, I don't even want to do 5, maybe 3 is much easier. And yours as well, as I see stuff popping up on the Twitch channel. But NFL props next.
This moment of gratitude is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage and the Rock family of companies.
We really want to thank my wife's cousin Marie, who works so hard as a nurse saving others.
To those who leave their homes to keep us safe in ours, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We're sending all our love, gratitude, and hope your way. Thank you.
If you'd like to thank America's frontline and essential workers,
So I'm calling Jared here, yeah?
Yes, and I sent you that.
NMLS,
The Google number?
Yes.
each legal entity that identifies themselves as companies are separate legal entities with their own governance and management structures.
As the novel coronavirus pandemic escalates in the U.S., public health officials are encouraging those who are experiencing signs or symptoms of COVID-19, such as coughing or fever, to seek medical guidance remotely. If you or a loved one are feeling sick or are just feeling worried, there is a way to get help without leaving home. Ro, the parent company of Roman, is offering free telehealth services for people seeking guidance and information on COVID-19. The service is available free of charge in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Ro's free online assessment will help determine if you are at risk, and if appropriate, Ro will connect you with a medical provider for a free consultation. The assessment is designed by doctors and infectious disease experts and is based on guidelines from the CDC and the World Health Organization. Visit ro.co/coronavirus on your phone or laptop to complete a free online assessment or to just learn more. If you're worried that you may be experiencing symptoms, go to ro.co/coronavirus to start your free assessment today. That's ro.co/coronavirus.
At CDW, we get modern servers need to be flexible, scalable, and predictable. I predicted you'd say that. Okay, what would I say next?
Probably something about server security.
Impressive and freaky. CDW can implement secure Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Gen 10 servers that improve speed and performance while reducing
Reducing costs. See, predictable.
IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it.
I predict a web address.
CDW.com/HPE.
I'm in your mind, man.
Over 2.5 million airline passengers fly every day in the United States. Those passengers depend on reliable airplanes, and those planes need certified aircraft technicians. That's where you come in. We are the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and we train tomorrow's technicians. We train our students hands-on with real aircraft, develop their skills, and prepare them for real jobs in the industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the average aircraft technician in the United States makes over $62,000 a year.
The job opportunity is there. The money is there.
If you want to work with your hands, it's a perfect place for you.
Call 800-87.
Jared is ready.
I'm 7.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed with the AIM curriculum. The school's keeping pace with the demands of the industry.
The potential for growth is astounding.
At the Aviation Institute of Maintenance, we train tomorrow's technicians.
800-876-0097. 800-876-0097.
Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Ton to get to with our next guest. We'll go out to the progressive guest line and bring in Jared Smith from Sports Grid, which, of course, you know, is Scott Farrell, now part of the SB Nation Radio Network. Jared at Jared Lee Smith on Twitter, Beyond Sports Grid, Wager Talk, Sports Memo, MSG Networks, FanDuel, and Covers as well. Also, one of the best minds to pick when it comes to what the heck is happening with our stocks day to day, and a pretty good TV mind as well, as I've come to find out. Jared, Eitan Shander on the second level. How are you, man?
Hey Tom, man, you always blow away my introductions. You're going to be my new hype man. You and Sean Brace do the best jobs with getting me ready for my segment with you. So props to that as always.
You know, in about 5 or 6 years, maybe even a shorter time, because you never know in this business, when I'm needing a handout or two, I'm going to come back and say, do you remember those introductions? Do you remember how I led into the show, Jared Lee Smith?
I love it. I love it. No, you know, this is a very fun time of the year. The NFL draft to me is obviously really excited. Obviously, the circumstances surrounding it, all the other things going on with the economy you mentioned as well. The stock market is incredibly volatile right now. But we're trying to have some semblance of normalcy this week. It feels like Super Bowl week,
doesn't
honestly, it? It really does. It really does.
It's a conversation I brought up actually on yesterday's show. There is belief, and I'm actually led to go down the road of belief and acceptance in the statement here that this will be at least as bet on as the Super Bowl simply because of the circumstances that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, we saw the astronomical numbers for the Last Dance documentary, and I think this will increase it. Another thing to keep in mind, usually the second day of the draft, the second and third rounds, the Saturday rounds, because of the NBA playoffs, are usually bumped to ESPN2. So now they're going to get the big stage the whole time on ESPN. I think that will only make the ratings go up even more. It's going to be probably the most watched sporting event since the Super Bowl. It might be the most watched sporting event until the next actual live sporting event with fans in the stands, which who knows when that could be. But I do think it is going to be must-see TV. I mean, you know, really, we've been handicapping this draft now on Sports Grid for 3 weeks, basically like the Super Bowl. And now we finally get to that point where I believe most of the books will turn the spigots off 24 hours before. So probably sometime tonight, a lot of those lines will come down. So I do encourage you, if you do want to get some picks in, don't wait till the last minute tomorrow, because a lot of books will take the lines down 24 hours before, because, you know, there's some things that can go on where, you know, people might know the pick and they can make some money. So they will take those down, similar to what they do with the Heisman odds. They do take them down before. So if you do want to get your draft picks in, I encourage you to do that today.
Where have you identified? We can look at a couple, but let's start with the most value for anything as far as movement or just general prop in this draft.
Well, it's funny because if you got in early in this market, you had a real chance to succeed. And I view, Eitan, we talk very analytically about gambling. Obviously, the goal is to win the bet. Obviously, that's the goal. But I do view it in kind of a binary way where my first goal is to beat the closing line. And this market, unlike any other market where I've seen in the past, because it's such an illiquid market, meaning there's just not a lot of handle in all of these props. There's so many props, and there's only so much action that can be taken by the books in each prop. The moves are sharp, and not sharp money. I mean, they will move a buck of juice in like one or two bets or in an hour. And we've seen that in the quarterback market. We've seen the odds on Tua Tagovailoa go from 3.5, meaning over under the third pick in the draft, to 5.5. And I was on the wrong side of that move. I thought Tua was a top 3 pick. I thought he was the third pick, and I went under 3.5. I got plus money on it, and the line's moved vastly against me to now where it's gotten to the point where there's value on the other side. So there's value now, I think, on under 5.5, where there would be before on value over 3.5. So, there's ways to kind of, play the market in that way. I did that very successfully with the Giants' first pick. I had about a week ago, I had them taking an offensive lineman with their first pick at even money, and that is now minus 400 today. So that's a massive move. That's like betting the Giants minus 3 on Monday, and then on Saturday it's like minus 7.
Right.
Like, you just don't see moves that big in the NFL marketplace very often. So I think there's a few picks out there where you're going to find value in this draft. I think you should lean towards the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman and skew away towards the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. To me, that's always where the public will go. They're going to think the quarterbacks are going to get taken higher. They're going to think the wide receivers are going to get taken higher. I don't think it's that kind of draft. I think the meat of this draft is the actual meat of the players and the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen, the big hog mollies. That's where I think this draft can be won. I think Derek Brown's going to go very early. I think Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, Mekhi Becton, those guys are going to go very early on in this draft. That's where I would be putting my money. I'd be putting my money on over the amount of offensive linemen taken in the first round. I saw 6.5 as a number, and I can absolutely see 7 or 8 linemen taken in the first round of this draft. The public money is always going to skew towards the sexy picks, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks. I think the value is obviously to go towards the big boys.
Well, I wonder, though, as you mentioned, the wide receivers, I've seen that total shift. Is it down to 5.5 now as far as first round wide receiver selected?
It's moved. That's another one that's moved. They opened at 5.5, moved up to 6.5.
6 guys taken in the first round, though, Jared.
176. Yeah, I mean, I could see 6. I think I have 6 in my mock draft, and I was very on the fence about the 6th guy. And I do think there's a chance that you get 6, but I would go under that. I would go under 6.5 for sure. I think there's definitely going to be 5. I think the 6th is hit or miss, but I've heard a lot of GMs say you can get a lot of really good wide receiver talent in the second and third round of this draft. So why would you spend a first round pick reaching for a guy? Maybe, let's say the Eagles at 21. I know you're a Philly guy. Let's say Jefferson and the other top 3 receivers are off the board by the time the Eagles pick at 21, and they're unable to move up into the top 19, top 18 to get one of those top 4 guys. I am hearing that Howie Roseman views Jefferson on the same plane as the other 3, which I think is a fair assessment. But outside of that top 4, I think there's a drop-off. If the Eagles at 21 are in no man's land, why are you reaching for a wide receiver at 21 that probably you could get the same kind of talent in the second round?
Right. Or just trade back to the back end of the first.
Yeah, exactly. I think this draft is filled with a lot of really great players, not a lot of generational players. There's one at the top that I think could be. Yeah, I think you throw Chase Young in there too. But I don't necessarily think this draft is filled with generational talent at wide receiver. I think Jerry Jeudy's really good, but I don't think he's a top 5 pick. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is a Julio Jones type of player. I think he's really good, but I'm not reaching for these guys, and I'm not reaching for Denzel Mims at pick 21, who is a good, explosive body. Yeah, exactly. Or Jalen Reagor, one of those guys. These are guys. The talent wise is there in the second round. So if I'm the Eagles at 21, I actually have the Eagles taking Kenneth Murray in the first round of the draft.
Nice. Well,
I have them missing out on Justin Jefferson slightly by a couple of picks. And I have them going with Murray in the first round, thinking that Murray can solidify that running defense when they have to face Saquon Barkley and Zeke Elliott 4 times a year. So, I think that's important. And I think don't reach for a wide receiver at the end of the first round. There's going to be guys in the second that you can get.
Jared, let me sneak this in here as we wind down. And again, appreciate the time, the insight, as always, at Jared Lee Smith on Twitter. Sports Grid, as you know, now the new home here for Scott Farrell on SB Nation Radio as our partnership grows. Wager Talk, Sports Memo, MSG Networks, FanDuel covers. Cole Kmet, we had him on yesterday on the show. Definitively the number one tight end. Does he go in the first round?
I'm going to say no. His grades on Pro Football Focus have been a little lower. Pro Football Focus actually has him as a fourth-round grade, which is crazy to me. I don't think he goes in the fourth round. I think he's a second or third-round pick. I don't think he's a first-rounder. No.
Okay. Awesome, man. Anything on these crazy off-the-wall props? You know, I can't legally do this stuff in Pennsylvania anyway, so I have to go to the global market. But we thought that there was actually some value on will any draftee pop champagne plus 400 on the global market is yes. Look, you don't need to be seen drinking champagne just to pop it.
Yeah, I saw one weird one about cats, and I saw another one about how many people will be in the room.
9.5.
I'm not touching that stuff. Yeah, I don't know where the people are getting the cats from. I haven't bet anything like that. I will say I've got some surprises in this draft. I think C.J. Henderson's the first corner off the board. Mark that down right now.
Okay.
And I think Derek Brown's going to be taken third overall by the Lions. Those are the two. And I also think the Patriots are going to be very aggressive in trading up or trading down or moving their draft position in some capacity and getting a quarterback in either the first or second round.
One more time. Who was that Lions pick?
Derek Brown.
Derek Brown. Yep. Gotcha. Just wanted to have you on record there.
Those are kind of the ones that I'm hot takes, kind of outside of the box. People are sleeping on C.J. Henderson. Okuda's good. Henderson's better in coverage. I think teams are going to recognize that. I could see him going as high as 7 to Carolina, C.J. Henderson.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate you, brother. Stay safe.
Absolutely, Eitan, anytime.
That's Jared Lee Smith, Jared Smith, at Jared Lee Smith on Twitter on the Progressive guest line. We'll hit fake news next. Ron Culver has 4 stories. One of them is fake. We hit it yesterday. With the help of the audience, we nailed it yesterday. We'll see if we can continue the streak next on fake news.
Introducing AutomotiveMap.com, a brand new.
I can't even bet legally here in Pennsylvania on the draft. Isn't that ridiculous?
From reviews on the latest vehicles.
Give it time.
Well, no, it's legal in Pennsylvania.
AutomotiveMap.com.
I can bet on my phone. I have apps, everything, but I can't bet the NFL draft for some reason. I can bet futures. I can bet a ton of NFL stuff. I can bet DraftKings here. I can bet table tennis, darts right now, all this shit.
Can you bet college football games?
SB Nation tonight with John Michaels.
Right, then I don't have an answer for you then.
You have any chance of actually
the only thing I can't bet, or you can't bet in the Jersey area, is you can't bet Rutgers. Like you can't bet local college stuff in Jersey. But in PA, I can bet Rutgers. In PA, I can bet college basketball. I've had tons of college basketball, football bets.
I don't know that there was anything I could have done. Like the swimming, no. I damn sure wasn't diving unless we could have done a cannonball.
Yeah, Kevin Cook up on
platform. I'm not diving into the water and flipping around like
Twitch,
a maniac.
telling the same thing.
You know
It's terrible. We have to go to Jersey.
I might have a shot to play.
Kev, you're at Parks a lot, man. You know.
Although actually, no. Those dudes are like 40 feet off the table, and they're and that thing's like the ball's just flying everywhere. I can never do that either.
You can bet on the Taiwan beer versus the Yulon
SB
Dinos.
Nation tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Wake up call. Tom Brady's going to be living at Jeter's house.
First thought went through my mind, what if you need to replace the dishwasher? Is that Jeter's problem or is that Brady's problem? Does Brady sit there and like, hey, Jeter, you need to take care of this. I'm not going to pay you rent.
So when Brady goes in to Jeter's house and Jeter goes, yeah, the cell phone goes in the basket. He goes, oh, no. I already gone down this road before with the NFL. No chance. This phone's not going anywhere near that basket.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday mornings. Pushing the odds with Matt Perrault.
This is the problem for a sport like baseball. It is an outdoor sport.
So
that must be played in
140
nice
today.
weather. And the window.
I'll just connect
for
with
nice
you at like
weather in
135
certain parts
or
of the
so.
country, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, is quite small. I actually am.
Either be me or Jose.
Oh, okay.
Should be
Should I just
going
connect on the
playing
brick?
in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Florida, once this thing calms down. And I think having teams be centrally located, I think finding a a facility, a hotel that probably is empty, and putting your team there, it stinks. You're going to be away from your family. You're going to be away from your normal life. But that to me is a must. I just don't see how in the world you put like the New York Yankees in New York. Like how?
Pushing the Odds with Matt Peralt. Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
Coming up 14 minutes, we'll go a little deeper into the Rob Gronkowski trade that lands him in Tampa Bay and what it means for Brady, Gronk, Evans, Godwin, everybody, O.J. Howard, all the way up to Bruce Arians. Anthony Becht will join us, former NFL tight end, now down in Tampa, doing a lot for the Bucs radio, 14 minutes from now. But as promised, fake news. Ron's got 4 stories. 3 of them are real. 1 is fake. It's all yours, sir.
Oh, I had to clear the throat for this. This is a good moment right now.
It is.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
I'm gonna start off strong.
Good. That's always a good thing.
A woman's breast implant saved her life after being shot in the chest.
Wow, this is like the, what was the famous Western that comes to mind where somebody had the Bible in their... Oh, no, you know what it was? All right, it's the Simpsons episode where the Fat Tony is trying to shoot Homer and Ned comes out. And he gets shot twice, and he's got the Bible, and then he pulls out a piece of the actual cross, and he's like, oh, look, luckily I had this. And he should go inside. So breast implants saved this woman?
Yes.
What state?
Ooh, that I did not look up. Give me a second here. I can find that for you. And
Florida has to be the odds-on favorite.
No,
here,
I don't think it was Florida.
Well, look, underdogs hit. Otherwise, people wouldn't bet.
Not Canada.
Okay, Canada.
Yeah, a Canadian woman. A woman who was shot in the chest avoided death after one of her breast implants deflected the bullet away from her heart.
Do we know how big the
leaving
implants
her
are?
with only a fractured rib? No, that it does not say.
Okay, so we don't know if this is a small enhancement or if this is a gigantic.
I'm thinking got to be pretty significant.
I would think
if
so.
If she got shot in the chest and the implants deflected it away from her heart.
You would think that there has to be, correct, a double. There has to be 2 letters. Even if it's a B or a C, there has to be a double. All right.
It's got to be double letters.
Exactly. All right, so that's definitely believable. Story 1.
Story
It
number
did
2.
start off strong.
Microsoft owns patent number 666. Which is about implanting microchips in people.
Yeah, I believe everything that comes out now about the... Well, did you see there was a hack of the World Health Organization, alleged hack, right? Of the WHO, Gates, Microsoft, and a couple of other entities that I guess are all connected. And there's been this general belief from day one that Bill Gates, who has some economic implications, if you will, at the very least, with who's in charge of the WHO, would benefit significantly from a vaccine that he can create, control, and of course have the chip that you could read that would dictate whether or not you are healthy versus having the virus.
Right.
And now, and my favorite part about this is social media's reaction, which is, I'm not getting a vaccine. No, on their way to getting another flu shot. Like,
That's different.
Well, no, but
flu shot's not vaccine.
No, but my point of it is this. Well, yes, exactly right. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like, no. Only one. It's like the same person who says, that's it. I'm off Facebook. They're not going to track me anymore while tweeting that.
Exactly. But
this is actually more believable than the first, simply because there's already trace evidence of the connection that Bill Gates has with the WHO and anybody else that would benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, they even tried to connect Fauci to this thing, Ron. Everything is now crazy. All right, so that's story number 2.
Story number 3, flying in airplanes could be a different experience in the future with seats being outfitted with a plexiglass shell to fit over your head.
Is this like going to the hair salon?
Kind of. I mean, not as bulky looking. You know, it's like, I mean, the seats are still going to be the same. Picture your normal airplane where you have three. You're sitting next to this. You're in the middle seat. Somebody's on your right. They have the window seat. Somebody's on the left, got the aisle seat. There's just going to be a plexiglass shield, if you will, that kind of separates you from them. And it doesn't completely go over the top of your head, but almost all the way through, almost all the way over.
Okay, so it's preventing you from sneezing or coughing on somebody.
Exactly, yes.
But how intrusive is it?
Well, I mean, I think after a while you probably would get used to it, but when you first sit down, you're going to feel like your head's in a cage.
Yeah, I think so.
So
yeah,
I'm not talking about how intrusive or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know, flights are going to be different. This thing,
yeah, but here's the thing.
Coronavirus is changing everything now.
The biggest question I have is when I say intrusive, how comfortable is it that you could sleep? Are you now going to be unable to sleep because you've got this thing coming down on your head?
That's a good question. You might, I don't know if you will be able to. Well, if you're in the middle seat, you might be able to sleep easier because now you can put your head up against something.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the appeals to the window seat. Not only that you get to look at the clouds, you know, from above them, but you get to rest your head against something.
But that's not comfortable, is it?
Well, it's not.
I mean, have you ever tried to sleep while you're getting your hair did at the salon, Ron?
I can't really sleep. No, I can't really sleep on a plane either. I've tried.
It's easier to, first off, the middle seat, forget it. Aisle's a little more difficult. Window is the jackpot to where you can sleep because you can put up something, even if it's your coat, up there. But I feel like that's been removed now. And think about this. What about your view at the window seat? How much is that now impaired?
Well, it might be double visioned.
Yeah, it would be terrible.
You got to look through plexiglass to look through the first window pane to look through the second
that
window
awful little glass that they have there that is protecting us from the wind tunnel. All right, now that's story 3, right?
That's story number 3.
Okay.
Story number 4, a man bought an abandoned mining town and decided to isolate there during the pandemic.
Wait a second. Isolate?
Isolate.
Is there a better place to isolate, you think?
Well, I would probably want to isolate here instead of abandoned mining town.
Right. What?
But he bought an abandoned mining town and decided, you know what? I'm going to head to that place to isolate.
But isn't that like, there's this show on HGTV, some sort of mansion where she buys, her and her dad, they buy these dilapidated mansions and they build them back up. You need to build something back. An abandoned mining town wasn't built up and then abandoned. It's going to look old and decrepit and nasty. And
no, it's not. It's not going to look good at all.
No. And you're probably going to be, I would be scared to what every single night, sleeping in some old house from the 80s and I mean 1880s where there was mining. And where is this again in the country? Midwest?
This is in Southern California.
Oh, Southern California. Okay.
Yeah, he purchased a remote 300-acre property in Southern California.
And there was nothing done to it. It wasn't changed into like a dude ranch or something.
No, it's called Cerro Gordo.
Well, that is weird. That's a weird story. Kevin on Twitch. Ron brought his A game today. These are hard. All right, let's recap here. Again, Anthony Beck's going to join us in 6 minutes. Let's recap here. So these are difficult. We have in reverse order. Story 4 is the mining town, which for some reason this person bought and decided to hang out in.
That's where he's quarantined.
Is there anybody with him? Did he bring like 6 or 7 girlfriends or boyfriends or anything?
Doesn't say if he brought anyone with him.
Just one person to go there and be out in their own.
So he's isolating himself.
Number 3 is the airline where you now go in and have your head like the salon.
Yeah.
Getting your hair curled. Number 2, I forgot number 2.
Bill Gates has a patent.
That's right.
For human.
Right. And number 1 is
tracking.
The breast. See, okay. Number 1 is almost too obvious. And this is my thought process here. And again, you're following along twitch.tv/Shander Show, at Shander Show, at SB Nation Radio, SBNationRadio.com. We do poll the audience every now and again. In fact, the audience nailed it yesterday. Number 1 is so believable. I feel like it might actually tip the scales to turn into an unbelievable story just because of how obvious and funny and believable it is. Number two, I'm 99% positive is real. The salon / Lowe's like shield that you have up there is an interesting one. And I don't know what to do with the mining one. I do feel like stories 2 and 3 are highly believable, which now means I'm somewhere in that 50-50. That's what we should do, right? Didn't they have a 50-50 on Millionaire?
Yeah.
What did that do? That removed 2 answers?
That removed 2 answers.
Okay, but I should only have one of those per week. Is that fair?
That's up to you.
No, let's do that. I can only poll the audience 2 times per week, and I can only 50-50 one time per week.
All right.
And I'm not going to 50-50 here because I'm more confident than I should be if I 50-50. I'm going to say number 1 is the fake story only because it's so funny, it's so obvious, it's so real that I'm thinking it tipped the scales.
Number 2.
Oh, wait a second. The guy is connected to like emails. You're telling me he doesn't have any stake in a vaccine?
He doesn't have a patent 666.
Oh, I guess that was the
about implanting microchips.
What
in
is it, like
people?
668 and you flip the number?
No. He does that. No, the patents are usually longer than 3 digits, by the way.
Oh, see, you're counting on me being smart.
As soon as we're back out in our yard, yep, we get.
All right, let me give you
lurking crabgrass.
X number here.
Grass.
The reality is Microsoft has a patent on cryptocurrency system using body activity data, right?
Okay.
Which is basically tracking body activity via wearable technology.
But that's being done already in.
No, they have the patent on it.
Okay, but a lot of the you're saying through body temperature?
No, through body activity via wearable technology such as a smartwatch.
Right. So we're seeing, like, for example, South Korea shut a lot of things down early on, and they use this technology to basically identify down to your phone where you are that tested positive and made sure that you were removed.
Isolate, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's being done already.
Yeah, it's being done, but there's no mention of microchips being implanted.
Oh, no. I look, I get why the story is fake. I'm just saying in general.
That just means the woman who got shot in the breast
is real.
Her breast implants did deflect a bullet away from her heart.
That is true.
In Canada, she didn't really realize she had gotten shot until she saw the blood. There will be this. There's a patent now, or there's an idea of putting these plexiglass things in between people, for social distancing purposes on airplanes. And the man who bought the abandoned mining town in California has been isolating there, but is changing his mind because of all the ghost activity that he's been experiencing.
All right, so we should do this. At the end of the show, we should go back and kind of recap the stories that are real.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
If you love cars, trucks, and SUVs, and the amazing technology hitting your favorite showroom, check out the brand new AutomotiveMap.com.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home, and you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-946-1013. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help.
That was horrible.
Assess.
What's that?
Call today.
You call him?
I called. I forgot who I was calling, so I was just like, "Hey, you ready to jump on with Aton?"
Oh, Anthony, yeah.
Anthony. The name totally escaped my head. I was like, "Oh."
946.
But he's ready.
Good.
That's 800-946-1013.
You're listening to The Second Level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, with way more than the scores, here's Eitan Shander.
Well, as I mentioned, all hell broke loose yesterday after we got off the air. We had the show ready to go, and we were all locked into a Wednesday, easing our way into the NFL draft. But we get a huge trade, and we have to determine just how big it is for Miami, how much of a loss, if in fact it was at all, for New England. So we go out to the Progressive Guest Line and bring in a man who knows the NFL in and out. He played in the NFL for 12 years at a high end at the tight end position and now is everywhere. Former West Virginia alum, of course, and he'll use any opportunity to remind us that. College football analyst for ESPN, Jets preseason color. You can even see him pop up on the Home Shopping Network. That's the versatility of one Anthony Becht on Twitter at Anthony_Becht. Eitan Shander on the second level. First and foremost, AB, how are you and your family doing, man?
Hey, Tom, what's up? Everybody's well. Family's healthy. Being in Florida, one thing we have every day is sun and good weather, so we're able to go outside a little bit around the neighborhood and just kind of hang out. But, life's good. Give me some time to look at some of these draft picks and kind of survey a little bit, like I think a lot of people are. I think we're all looking forward to the draft on Thursday.
Yeah, it's low 40s back home, man. So anybody in Philly listening is like, come on, Beck. Really? You had to rub that in?
Gotta do it, brother.
So let's look at the big news. What's your first reaction? You already know Tom Brady's the quarterback. You've already digested that. Everybody in Tampa Bay is excited. You got the new Brady jersey and everything that's available for you. You wake up, you pop on Twitter, wherever you were doing, to then find out about the news. What's your first reaction to Rob Gronkowski is now a Tampa Bay Buck?
Yeah, it's kind of the same feeling with Brady. It's a little bit surreal, to see these guys, number one, in different uniforms for the first time in their career is hard to fathom. I think we'll all have to wait and see when that actually comes true and people visually see with their eyes at practice and whenever football gets going again. But, it's huge. We're talking about arguably, at least for Rob Gronkowski, the best tight end that's ever played the game. We know what Tom Brady is, but I don't know if there's been a better tight end in the last 30 years of football than Rob Gronkowski. And, he left really still with a lot of juice in the tank. And this is big. This is an equalizer. Any inclination that you thought that maybe the race got tighter in the division, then you would probably disagree. It really comes down to now, what do you do to stop the Bucs? And the weapons at the disposal of Tom Brady are really ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. It's kind of video game-like, but Rob Gronkowski comes back to form, gets himself ready to go football-wise. It could be scary on Sundays watching this team go.
Without seeing him, of course, are the expectations for this team and offense built and predicated on that connection, or is it more so, Anthony, hey, you've got Evans and Godwin, even another tight end, depending on who's there, to go to? Gronkowski is a luxury, but he's one hell of a luxury to have.
Well, the goals of the NFL defense is to try to get to where the plays or the pass plays or the quarterback can go. They can always take away a weapon and force you to at least go somewhere on the field that, okay, look, you're good, you can make the connection, that's fine, but we're going to try to limit your opportunities. What do you do now as a defense? You're not going to try to take away Gronk with two guys because you got two elite receivers. And you say the same thing across the board. So now it's just a matter of, what are defenses going to bring to the table with these guys? I think initially it's Tom's so good, he'll hit the open man. It basically comes down to that. He's not going to be the rookie or the second-year guy, connecting with his favorite guy every time. But I promise you this, that he'll have an option to go to anybody he wants to. And when you're talking about a guy that is elite pre-snap, that diagnoses information and knows the answers before, you finally get everybody on the same page, it's going to get scary. And, look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to, shore up their offensive line, hopefully in the draft here. That'll be key because you don't want Tom Brady on his back with all these weapons. And they'll have to increase their run game a bit. But, look, this is the best core on paper in the league right now, in my opinion, as far as the versatility matched with speed, length, matchup problems. I mean, Kansas City has a lot of speed problems that you have to match up with. But, man, this is a very similar deal where you have speed and size combined across the board. I'm telling you now, it's going to be hard to stop this offense come season time.
Which offense is going to create more headaches leading up to a game? Is it the one you just laid out in Tampa Bay or the team that I assume they're chasing still in New Orleans?
Well, honestly, I would say, from an offense, from all three of those offenses, the one that honestly you'd lean on is, okay, a lot of speed and a quarterback that can really create. That's tough to beat when you're talking about stopping offenses. So the ability for Patrick Mahomes to still pass, pick you apart, but yet move is gigantic. I mean, that's just that extra X factor. The one thing that with the Buccaneers system is that, okay, yeah, Tom Brady's not going to be able to run away from cats. We get that. He's not going to be that guy. But now your range of being wrong and your range of guys catching balls in a different radius than maybe a 5'9" super fast receiver opens the floodgates to a lot more plays that can be made with one-on-one coverage or just kind of getting the ball out in space to wherever they are. These guys can go get the football. They can go jump, leap. They got the height, the length. I mean, those are the things right now that are going to be tough for defenses to stop. I mean, you just can't get physical, go man-to-man. It's just those things won't work against those type of things. And, of course, with the Saints in their offense, and what you're seeing with them is, you have one elite receiver, and then you have a quarterback that can diagnose information like the best of them, and Tom Brady's and the elite quarterbacks of the league do. So, again, they all have their advantages. I would say this. When in doubt, and you can just throw it up in the area, and you have guys that can get it, that's extremely helpful for a quarterback.
Anthony Becht joining us at Anthony_Becht, Eitan Shander at Shander Show. For me, the defense, how big of a problem is this? Is this going to prevent, ultimately, Anthony, the Bucs from either winning the division or going far in the playoffs?
Surprisingly, if you watch this team, one of the better defenses in the league the last half of the season. I think the MVP of this team is Todd Bowles. Up front, defensive line, I don't know if you'll have a better one in the league right now with Shaq Barrett coming off an MVP season defensively. JPP is re-signed. Ndamukong Suh is back in the middle to clog it up. And Vita Vea, who not a lot of people talk about, should have probably made the Pro Bowl last year. So you're talking about a defensive line now that's pretty loaded and stacked from their starters. You got a middle linebacker that was one of their top draft picks in the draft last year, Devin White, played with a knee brace for the majority of the season. When it got pulled off halfway through at the end of the year, the guy was flying around and making more plays than any linebacker in the league. Lavonte David is a perennial Pro Bowler. The secondary has always been the question. And I'll tell you what now, the rookies that they drafted last year and the second-year players from the year before, these guys stayed healthy. They bought into the system, length, can play the football. They got better every single week. I talked to Todd Bowles personally after the season. He said, look, I don't care if you give me a free agent, you give me a rookie defensive back, whoever that may be, I can coach him up and get him ready. He proved that last year. So I don't think the defense is going to hold him back. Last year the biggest problem was being down a touchdown or two because of interceptions, pick sixes, turnovers. Those things will go away, and now we'll get to see more of a complete team. And I think it's another year together as a squad playing, understanding the system will help this team go.
Look, you're down there covering the team, played for the Bucs, looking at what Tampa is. It's not a knock. It's more of a reality. They have rarely been the source of the fair weather fan. You are now at the epicenter, Anthony Becht, of fair weather fandom. Is Tampa Bay prepared to take on not only the fair weather fans associated with Brady, but now Gronk as well?
Oh my gosh! I mean, you talk about boosting the arm for economies. I mean,
right.
Not only good for the team, the organization, but the city. I mean, the Super Bowl is here this season. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, and you're right. I mean, this is the shot in the arm that people need. And this stadium has not been filled in a long time. And season tickets were extremely off the chain when Tom Brady signed, and then of course Gronk. There was a waiting list again to get on. So, people are getting excited about it. Obviously, tough economic times. But once things start coming back and people, start getting back on their feet again, I can anticipate this just being a rock and roll situation for the city, for the fan base, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's been a lot of bad luck for this organization. They do have a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, which a lot of teams can't say, but it's been a long time since they've had success. And I'll tell you now, you start bringing names like this to Tampa Bay, no one would have ever thought or dreamed of hearing those kind of names come to this area. And it's going to be fun.
Hey, Anthony Beck joining us at Anthony_Beck. AB, I'm curious, as much as you work with tight ends, know the position in and out, guys coming into the NFL. We looked at this from a sports betting standpoint kind of in the first part of the hour. I want to get the football answer from you. We had a chance to chat with Cole Kmet yesterday, top-rated tight end, as you know, coming out of Notre Dame. Is he a first-round pick? Is his name called tomorrow night?
He can be. I just dropped my mock draft on my Twitter, Anthony_Beck. I don't have a tight end in the first round, but clearly, Cole is a guy that can do everything really well. And, there are teams out there that need that position, need that kind of player, a guy that can block inline, can flex out, can run pass routes. This guy can do it all. I actually have him rated number 2. The number 1 tight end that I have is Albert O. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Right. Albert O out of Missouri, who ran a 4.3 at 6'5", 260.
Wow.
He's the guy that has the most upside. He has some red flags from an intangible standpoint. People worry about his effort and his heart in the game. And, just talking with him, I was able to go to the combine and be the liaison tight end for the tight end class this year, and being around these kids. He looks like he's a kid that, is really willing to put the work forward. He was getting a lot of success early in the SEC, having touchdowns as a freshman. And as the years went on, he just kind of got a bit complacent. But when you're talking about just the tangible characteristics, height, speed, size, athleticism, blocking ability, if he can figure it out, he can really be the best of this crew. And I think there's a lot of other tight ends, but if you ask me if a tight end can go in the first round, I do, but I also see a scenario where maybe 10 receivers could go before a tight end gets picked, maybe in the upper area of the second round.
I'd like for one of those to be going to Philadelphia. That would just be me. I'm sure 95% of the fan base is well up here.
Yeah, well, you're talking about receiver?
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, I meant receiver.
Yeah, well, I mean, in my mock draft, I had the Eagles landing Henry Ruggs, and a lot of people were saying, well, there's no way Ruggs would be available that late. But I'm telling you now, I think the one thing that as we're seeing all these people and who people think is going to go where, there's going to be a lot of surprises in this draft. And, Ruggs is in my top 5. I don't have him in my top 3. I felt like him and Jerry Jeudy were an awesome combination, but that was a dictator of why and how well Henry Ruggs did. So is he a guy that can be the number 1 consistently? And I think he can. I just think that because of that, and maybe some of the minds of some teams, that they may try a different route. I have Denzel Mims ahead of him going early on, 15 to the Broncos, a name that maybe is on the rise. Not a lot of people talking about him maybe going that high. I could see it happening. So I think that there's going to be a really, really good receiver available for the Eagles. That I predict them taking one, but again, how this thing falls out and shakes out with trades and whatnot, you never know. But they're going to have a good choice of very capable receivers to pick to help Carson Wentz in that offense.
AB, thank you so much for the time, as always, and happy to hear all things are going well with you and yours.
Yeah, man, check out that mock draft, Econ.
Just tweeted it out, brother. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. Likewise, at Anthony_Beck on the Progressive Guest Line. We'll wrap the hour next here.
Wake up, Cole! Who as a country do we trust enough to, when they go, you can go back to work, you can go to sports arenas, that we go, absolutely, thanks.
Is it Dr. Fossey?
Is it him? Because he's like, we may never be able to shake hands ever again.
Why is your Dr. Fossey voice one step away from Gilbert Gottfried?
I know, right? On the one hand, I want to know what the other hand is doing. And my Dr. Fauci impression is more like, well, it's more like if you have 2 people in a room, it's better if one of them leaves. So in the future, let's say you're taking your family to a restaurant and there's 4 of you. It's better to just get 4 tables. And please limit the visitation to maybe once every 2 weeks.
That would be the best. To keep this completely under control.
Wake Up Call with Tony D and Ron Culver. Weekday
All right.
mornings.
Hey, everybody. RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily, that's right, daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner. Two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today. Hey, everybody. RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com, your home for the best Dallas Cowboys coverage on the web. And did you know that we have a podcast feed? The Blogging the Boys podcast feed has daily, that's right, daily episodes breaking down the latest and greatest in the world of America's team. We have multiple shows, multiple analysts, including a Super Bowl winner. Two-time Super Bowl champion Tony Casillas is part of our rotation, and we want to make sure you are as well. We're available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. So don't miss out. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed today.
SB Nation Tonight with John Michaels.
Bill O'Brien said this about the soft tissue injury himself, Will Fuller. Quote, we're excited about the 2020 version of Will Fuller. I mean, really, he's hyping up the Will Fuller 2020. If you ever ordered anything off one of those stupid infomercials, here would be your infomercial for the new 2020 Will Fuller. Introducing the all-new 2020 Will Fuller. Hamstring fully attached. Groin working fine. With the 2020 Will Fuller, you're going to have big games 1 out of every 5 times. The other 4 times, he'll disappear. The 2020 Will Fuller, it might get you to the playoffs, but it'll be on a milk cart. It's somewhere at the end of the year. That's your 2020 Will Fuller. You can buy him for $29.99. Will Fuller injury is not guaranteed for the price of the Will Fuller 2020 version.
SB Nation Tonight, weeknights at 10 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. Scratching beneath the surface. It's the second level on SB Nation Radio.
And on SBNationRadio.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. From the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Eitan Shander.
I went a little long with Anthony Beck, but want to get you all the insight from not only the Brady Gronk stuff, but also a couple of tight ends, interesting and key position on a couple of offenses this year. We gave you the fake news answer. It was the patent that was only 3 letters, and Ron explained, you're an idiot, and that's why we fooled you today.
They're just not implanting it in people yet.
Right.
They have ways to track you.
But I'm the idiot who didn't realize that patents are longer than
Now,
3.
the patent number that they do have does have 6 or 3 6s in the number.
Just not together.
Just not in a row.
But what pops...
And there's letters and numbers in there.
Okay, as long as we have longer than 3 6s in a row, it adds up.
We're good.
But what pops from these segments a lot, and sometimes we don't have a guest at 1240, and we can kind of reflect on it, but at least now we can shortly at least. But these other stories are real.
Those other stories are real.
A woman survived a
Being
gunshot
shot
wound.
in the chest. Yeah, she described it as it was something stinging and hot. And then when she looked down, that's when she saw blood. So she took herself to the hospital. Canada women.
Unbelievable. Way tougher than us.
Yeah, probably
Hockey
stopped
player.
off. She probably stopped off at Hortons too.
Absolutely. Got a bag of donuts. When I was up in Calgary, Tim Hortons was a necessity. I hit Tim Hortons like 3 times a day.
Really?
Well, I didn't know about it until I was in Calgary.
I'm just saying. I mean, I can't imagine. If I get shot in the chest, I'm out. I'm done.
Me too. I don't
I'm
have
done.
it. Now, do you think that there are men thick enough on the planet that they could provide that type of...
Oh, I'm certain that there are guys thick enough.
Yeah, but isn't it the silicone that provided the actual
Well, the
bulletproofness?
silicone, it's like kind of like redirected it away.
It ricocheted off.
She did have a broken rib.
Oh, that's
So she
the
was
best
shot in
thing
the
that happened.
chest, but it went down to her rib.
Oh, nice.